Thank you, Angela. So, you've heard the point of view from Labour now. They will stop the coal. There won't be, if Labour take power, there will not be a coal this summer. Right. Our next speaker spoke to us down in London, did a superb speech down there. I'm not going to go through his acting roles, or all of them. I'll be here all afternoon. Includes Ace of Spies, A Perfect Spy, Ruth Rendell Mysteries, the list goes on and on. And of course, more recently, Downton Abbey. But Peter is also the UK ambassador for Animals Asia. And he's always been a very, very keen supporter of animal welfare in the UK. Here he is to tell us more. Peter Egan.
Hello everyone, very nice to see you. And thank you. Can you hear all right? It's really freezing, isn't it? Yes. Well, it's really great to be here this morning, and I mean, I totally, of course, support this, but I'm going to talk to you in general, really, about my involvement with animal welfare on a broad scale, so please forgive me if I bore you, if it's not specific. And if I do bore you, you can just shout out and say, shut up. That's my agent there. First of all, what I wanted to say that, as I'm sure you would all agree, there's no question in my mind that animal welfare is the issue of this century. And wherever you look, we're waging war on every other species on this planet. Badgers, foxes, rabbits, hares, horses, dogs, cats, tigers, lions, elephants, rhinos, gorillas, chimpanzees, orangutans, birds, bears, reptiles, whales, dolphins, fish. We don't even ignore the ants. We cover them in chocolate and we eat them. There are around 1 million reptile pets in the UK, and 75% of those die in a year. And the UK imports around 40 million ornamental fish annually. Over 90% of those are dead within 12 months. The exotic pet trade is an abuse hiding in plain sight. This war is waged primarily, in my opinion, because of two basic imperatives: control and greed. It is empowered by the most negative energy, indifference. Now, something happened to me about 15 years ago which changed my life. It was a rescue dog, one of the 6 dogs that my wife and I now live with. His name is DJ. I call him DJ because he's got a white bib and a black jacket, so he looks like he's wearing a dinner jacket. So, DJ, he chose me. I found him under a bucket in a cattery. He just about fitted into my hand. I lifted the bucket and he grabbed hold of my beard and he came out attached to it. And he looked at me with such pride and confidence. This scruffy, smelly little puppy declared to me that he had the same right to life that I have. DJ became my gatekeeper. He opened my life to animals in a total way. I had a similar life-enhancing moment when I went to Animals Asia Moon Bear Sanctuary in Chengdu in southern China. I'm absolutely devoted to all animals, but I have a particular affection to moon bears. They're one of the most wonderful creatures. And perhaps how I feel is best explained by what happened to a 10-year-old boy after he'd listened to a talk that had been given by a friend about the plight of moon bears in China. He was one of the shyer boys in this class, and he didn't usually contribute much. And after the talk, he was asked, how it affected him. And he said, "I don't really know how to explain it, but it made me feel funny inside. Like there's something different in me now. I've never felt anything like it before. Something has changed, and it's made me want to find out everything I can about moon bears and what happens to them. I just know I want to stop it." Now, what that boy was feeling was compassion. Life has a way of inhibiting or destroying compassion in us. Martin Luther King said, "One day, the absurdity of the almost universal human belief in the slavery of other animals will be palpable. We shall then have discovered our souls and become worthier of sharing this planet with them." The soul is the same in all different creatures, all living creatures, although the body of each is different. More and more evidence is emerging about cognitive complexity of animal behavior, including, for example, abstract thinking, elephants mourning, dolphins electing their own names, etc. Regardless of whatever conclusions one may reach about how close we are to animals, some scientists say that were it not for our relationship with dogs, man would still be a hunter-gatherer. However, empathy for other sentient beings and striving towards a moral order seem to be deeply anchored in the human heart. Regardless of what science may or may not uncover, the question is not can they reason, nor can they talk, but rather, can they suffer? There is no difference between the pain of humans and the pain of other living things, since the love and tenderness of the mother for the young are not produced by reasoning, but by feeling. And this faculty exists not only in humans, but in all living beings. That was written by Moses Maimonides in about the 12th century. Leonardo da Vinci said, "Truly man is king of beasts, for his brutality exceeds theirs. We live by the death of others. We are burial places." The great American writer John Steinbeck said, "We have never understood why men mount the heads of animals and hang them up. Possibly it feels good to these men to be superior to animals. But does it not seem that if they were sure of it, they would not have to prove it? So, we hunt them, we kill them for food, we abuse them for fun and entertainment. Soon the rhino and the tiger will be extinct in the wild. There are new forms of fun called canned hunting. In Asia, 25 to 50 million dogs a year are butchered, skinned alive, and boiled for the dinner table. A similar amount of cats. In China, there are over 15,000 moon bears kept in tiny cages. They can't even turn around. Their bile extracted daily, sometimes for up to 30 years, their entire life. It's a living hell. The assumption that animals are without rights and the illusion that our treatment of them has no moral significance is positively outrageous. It's an example of crudity and barbarity. Universal compassion, in my opinion, is the only guarantee of morality. I had another life-changing experience a few years ago when I was watching a film called Earthlings. It's a compelling and shattering expose of industrial and ritual slaughter. I was so horrified and disgusted by the brutal indifference to the slaughter of animals for food that I've never eaten meat since. Humanity's true moral test, its fundamental test, consists of its attitude towards those who are at its mercy, animals. That fundamental test is betrayed and exposed in the industrialized slaughterhouses in this world. Not only is it barbaric and cruel, it's inefficient. It doesn't make sense. I was sent these figures from Compassion in World Farming. To produce 1 kilo of edible meat, you have to feed the animals several kilos of feed. So this is a really inefficient way of producing food. For every 100 calories that we feed animals in the form of crops, we receive on average just 30 calories in the form of meat and milk. A recent UNEP report calculates the cereals that are expected to be fed to livestock by 2050 could, if they were instead used to feed people directly, provide necessary food and energy for more than 3.5 billion people. There are around 67 billion animals slaughtered for food each year, and that number is set to reach 120 billion by 2050. It is estimated that 75% of them are kept in terrible factory farms. Globally, 33% of the world's cereal harvest and 97% of the world's soy meal is used as animal feed. When 800 million people are still suffering from hunger and many more malnourished, and quite frankly, this just strikes me as scandalous. The modern high-yielding dairy cow has been bred to produce 10 times more milk than her calf would have suckled from her. Dairy cows are pushed to such high milk yields that many suffer from painful mastitis and lameness. Most cows are utterly worn out just after 3-4 milk cycles and are prematurely culled. Their natural lifespan would be over 20 years. They are so stressed by producing so much milk that maybe it's not surprising that they're vulnerable to diseases like TB. The trend in dairy farming is towards zero grazing, which is just what it describes. The cattle are permanently housed or allowed only into a yard. They are not allowed to go out into the fields to exercise and eat grass, their natural food. So for me, avoiding meat, eggs and dairy products from such animals is an important part of being a campaigner for animal welfare. Now, if you can go further and, like me, become a vegetarian or vegan, that would be great. Auschwitz begins where someone looks at a slaughterhouse and thinks they're only animals. Water is probably, along with soil itself, the Earth's most precious resource. There are estimates that by 2025, 64% of humanity will be living in areas of water scarcity. Perhaps the most shocking statistic about water use is that the basic water requirement for a human per year has been calculated at 18,250 litres. That includes water for hygiene, cooking, sanitation, and basic household needs. That's just a little more than the water needed to produce 1 kilo of grain-fed beef. 15,400 litres. Yes, just 1 kilo of beef today could provide a person's total water needs for the best part of a year. And quite frankly, that's also just staggering. That's basically the broad scale of where I'm at. I'm sorry if that sounded very serious, but it is a very serious business, as we all know, this business of animal welfare and how much we torture, destroy, and abuse those beautiful friends that we have with no voice. I did have a message here from a man who I admire very much and I'm very proud to call a friend. And his name's Brian May. And he's, yes, you can say, way, yes. Did you see him at the O2? He was brilliant, wasn't he? And just wonderful. I felt quite young again. But he has just asked me to mention to you that he is starting a campaign called Common Decency. And that is to encourage people not to vote for MPs because they are of a particular party, but because of what they believe in. And to look at their policies and try and understand if they do believe in truth, common decency. And if they do, then give them your vote. And I think that's a rather remarkable idea, and it's certainly one that I'm going to support. And that's just about it. So I just want to say how wonderful it is to be with you all today. Yeah! You too, sir. Yes. Lovely. That's my agent. Thank you all very much. Take care. Cheers.